What's going on, Bulls Nation, and welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast, presented by PointsBet. Don't forget that PointsBet promo code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. Howdy and welcome in, hanging out here at our downtown West Loop CHGO studios. I'm Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. That's Big Dave. He's on Twitter at BAWS Sports. Our guy Will, the Thrill, in the circle is at Won't Gottlieb on Twitter. We are CHGO_Bulls. We got our producer and our pal Joey hanging out with us today, per usual. Joey. Hi, Joey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Still no ball hoodie, huh, Joey?
You're actually, yeah.
How you doing, Will?
Damn it.
You know, I was just going on a rant about Chandler Hutchison, so that's how I'm doing.
I believe his name is Chandler Crutch Sore Shins.
Yes.
Get it right. Respect the man.
Shout out John Saban.
That is how my deranged mind works. On a,
yes.
Big Dave, what is
summer
the
day? I'm just thinking about Chandler Hutchison.
what is the sizing on the ball sports hoodies? Like,
what size do you like?
you know, I think I'm in like a large or medium usually,
I
but
think you're a medium.
you think I'm a
I don't
medium?
know about a large.
That's what. Yeah. Okay.
Because you're in shape.
I'm a small guy,
No,
but
I'm not saying that you're small. I'm saying you nice and in shape and you small. And
well, I just want to make sure they run true to size or whatnot.
I have an XL. I mean, maybe you would want to get an L if
I might get an L. I rock a little bit bigger of a hoodie.
Mine is 2XL.
By the way, Ball Sports, check it out. Check out the hoodies. All right.
Joey being nice right there.
We've
Even when
already
I pick
got
on 'em.
some
Even when I pick
people
on 'em.
in the comments getting excited about who we're talking about today, gentlemen, and that is Tari Eason of LSU. He's on deck for today in our draft profiles, so we will get to him later on today's show. But before we do that, we must continue with our Bulls draft history countdown.
Let's do this.
We did pick 30 yesterday. That was Jimmy Buckets, and we rattled off some other names who the Bulls picked at 30 way back in the day, none of whom did much of anything for the Bulls. So today we're going to highlight one player who the Bulls took at 29, and then we'll also cover all of the players that they took at 28, none of whom really ever amounted to anything with the Chicago Bulls franchise. Are we ready to do that, gentlemen?
That just sounded so cruel.
Let's
It
talk
is what it
about
is.
Yeah, you know.
What is the balance? What is the ratio of guys you hit in the draft
Jack
and are
and
here
juice,
and
baby.
productive for a long time?
Right, you know, I hear you. I get you. I get it. Just sounded harsh. That's all. It just sounded harsh. That's all I'm saying. You're right.
Have you ever known me to be someone who sugarcoats things, Dave?
Not really. No. Not really. Not really. You don't need to put the sugar on it, but yeah, I feel
So I had forgotten this until you presented this idea to us a few days ago, Big Dave, about doing, the best player taken at every position in the Bulls draft history. The Croatian sensation was a number 29 overall pick.
He absolutely
Which
was.
way back when was actually a second-round pick before the league expanded to 30 teams. And, here's what I think is so fascinating about this. And, fair warning to all you Jerry Krause haters out there. And when our pal Stacy was here talking with us last week, he said Jerry Krause does not get nearly enough respect, gets way too much disrespect from this fan base. The fact that he found Toni Kukoc before people were bringing lots of players from Europe when he was as young as he was is insane.
Yeah.
So if you see there, those are the accolades that Toni had accomplished playing overseas by the time the Bulls drafted him in June of 1990. And it's a pretty impressive list. He was MVP of the U18 Eurobasket, MVP again of U19 World Cup, won a silver medal in 88, EuroLeague champion in 89 and 90, and the EuroLeague Final Four MVP in 1990, just a couple months before the Bulls drafted him. that's a pretty impressive list of accomplishments by the time Toni Kukoc was 19, 20 years old.
True.
But then everything that he accomplished between then and when he finally actually came to the Bulls for the 93-94 season, it's even doubled up.
Yeah.
If you go back and look, dude, when's the last time you looked at Toni Kukoc's basketball reference page?
It's been a minute.
It's insane, everything that's on that list before he even came to the NBA.
No, you're absolutely right, man. Like, it's a long list of things that he accomplished before he walked over, which is why he walked over prepared. That's why he walked over ready to play in the NBA. He was already a legend. Like Matt said, he was really, truly a legend over there already. He was their Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan of Europe. I heard that so many times.
Yeah.
And obviously, Michael Jordan heard this, and the reason that they were trying to put the clamps on his ass when they played him on the Dream Team, because Mike heard this and Scotty heard this, and they were like, no. But yeah, that's why he came over ready to go. And what I always remember about Toni Kukoc was his first game. I remember it like yesterday because they played the Milwaukee Bucks, and it was the first season without Michael Jordan, which a true dark period in time. But it was the first season without him. Very first game, he comes in, plays the Milwaukee Bucks. They're down by 1, and Toni Kukoc hits the game-winning 3. Not to take the lead. He hit it to win the game.
Yeah.
He hit the 3 to win it. That's his first introduction to the Chicago Bulls is I'm hitting game winners, and this is what it's going to be like for me playing for this team right here. I was like, he's the man. Ever since, I'm like, nope, got nothing to say about him. He's not scared of anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And there many reasons why he was delayed in coming over, Will, whereas oftentimes when international players are drafted nowadays, they come right away. They don't wait. They come right away, like Luka did. And many others. But there, Tony's native country was a war-torn country at the time, and he talks about it a little bit in The Last Dance when he was making that decision. He was also making way more money playing over in the Treviso League in Italy than he would have had he come to the NBA. And he had, a young family. He and his girlfriend or wife had just had a baby, and he was like, yeah, I was waiting around because of this reason and that reason and this reason. And meanwhile, everybody in the NBA who went to Barcelona in 92 was like, why is Jerry Krause so obsessed with this guy? He sucks. It's like, because he couldn't beat the best basketball team ever assembled by himself? It's crazy when you go back and think how dismissive NBA players and NBA fans were of a guy like Toni Kukoc.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
I was going to say he was like one of the players that sort of like started to change the perception of Euro guys in the NBA. And you mentioned Luka, wasn't there like that Sam Smith quote from maybe a couple of years ago? Like if he would have come over now in today's modern NBA, he would have been what Luka is. Like he was so good. And one of those guys, like I think about this all the time, like how would a guy do in a different era? And Kukoc just seems like the kind of guy that would have been exactly what you want in today's NBA, where he's like a big wing, shot creator, offensive playmaker, can just kind of like do it all. And yeah, I mean, you got to see some of that in the triangle and sort of Phil Jackson empowering him to play to his strengths. But I would just have loved to see him in today's game.
Yeah, and I also think, and I'm not disagreeing with your statement because there was definitely bias for Toni Kukoc coming in, but I think he was kind of being done a disservice. I don't think purposely, but he was kind of being done a disservice with how he was brought in. And Jerry Krause was basically like, this is the savior. This is the guy.
Yeah.
And not only are you bringing him in that way, you just lost Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just lost the greatest player to ever play. And it felt like, this is the replacement for him. And he's a guy from Europe. And at that time, you remember, and I'm sure you all remember, Europeans were not accepted like that. Like they're going to be those kind of players like that. And you bring in a guy like that nobody's ever seen. Nobody's like, Euro basketball isn't on the same level. The Dream Team just absolutely annihilated the world in the Olympics. And so you're bringing in this guy from there, and you're like, yeah, he's the one. This is going to be the guy. Yeah, that was immediately everybody was turned against him. And luckily, Bulls fans are loyal.
Yeah.
And Bulls fans are that kind of guys and those kind of people. So as soon as he got in here and they saw his game, it kind of changed pretty quickly for him.
And there was also, of course, the element of, and again, this is something else that was talked about in The Last Dance for those of you who might be younger Bulls fans and weren't around. I think the analogy MJ used was like Jerry Krause having like a new favorite adopted child, while his actual children were here and in his house and like providing him with every joy he should possibly ever want or need. The Bulls had just won back-to-back titles before they went and played in Barcelona when MJ and Scotty were like, you know, Jerry Krause drafted this kid 2 years ago. He's still over here playing in Europe, and we're not impressed by anybody winning Euro League. Like, what the hell? This is the NBA. This is where the great players are. And meanwhile, like, Scotty was the amazing Robin to Batman, had won 2 titles, was an all-star along with MJ, was widely considered one of the best players in the NBA, and was making pennies. And Jerry was so obsessed with Toni and convincing Toni to come play on this team when the focus some of the Bulls players believed from their GM should be on what he has in front of him right now.
Yeah, seriously.
It's understandable. Like, where did you fall on that whole argument and debate of the way that Krause fawned over Toni when he had, you know, a dynasty already sitting in his house, Will?
I mean, I think it's a common thing even today. Like, you know, you hear about GMs picking their guy, and it's sort of like something you can hang your hat on as a decision maker, where, you know, sometimes you start with the team, for example, like AK picked up this team and there's like all these guys and he ends up trading them all. And then his first pick is Patrick Williams. Like, he's going to hang his hat on Patrick Williams, and that's going to be a big part of his legacy as the lead decision maker. So I get it from that standpoint, but like, it's so difficult when you're talking about literally the greatest team of all time and like sort of the egos and dynamics there. So I kind of see both sides, and I understand why Krause would have been so attached and like wanted Kukoc to succeed so bad, because like he invested that was his guy. That was the decision he made. It was the thing that he could like show off as his own. So it's just like a weird ego thing and like preserving your job. And I think that's still common in today's NBA. Like, we had Heiken on a couple weeks ago. That's sort of a thing that he's talked about before with the Blazers of Neil O'Shea, like CJ really being Neil O'Shea's guy and not wanting to trade him or split up Dame and CJ because that was his draft pick and like he succeeded. He doesn't want to like get rid of that. So totally think that's still a part of the game today for sure.
Will, let me ask you this, Will. What do you think Tony's reception would be here if he came here today? Like, we know what his game would be. You know, his game would definitely be fitting here in today's league and NBA. But what do you think his reception would be, especially kind of among fans? Because I think basketball fans are a little more cynical nowadays, no matter where you're coming from. I don't care where you're coming from. They're a little more cynical about whatever player is coming in. What do you think his reception would be?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to have haters, but like, we're in an era right now where arguably the top 3 players in the league are international guys. You have Luka, Giannis, and Embiid. And Kukoc kind of laid the groundwork for that. Like I said, I mean, he was like one of the first. Obviously, you had like Olajuwon and other non-Americans in the league.
2-time reigning MVP who is also an international player. It's crazy.
But it's true. Like, you know, I think, yeah, so that kind of changed. And I think he would have been welcomed more in today's game, especially, like I said, the kind of player that he is, because that's what everybody wants their team to have. That's like the guy that you want to build around. And I think he certainly had the skill set and the talent to be able to be that guy.
And I think there's less cynicism now as far as the Euro player and all of the adjectives that follow that from some NBA fans who think that Euro players are soft, lazy, don't play defense, whatever. Right. And a lot of that was said about Toni when he arrived. Sure. And some of it was true. Like, Toni Kukoc did not know how to play defense at an NBA level when he arrived.
No, he did not.
It was a struggle for him. But, you know, I think there's also the reality that some of the best players, the upper echelon players in the NBA, are now international players. Those people don't have any argument left. They have no leg left to stand on. They're like, oh, players from Europe aren't as good. They're not good enough to play in the NBA. Your boy Fred said that about Luka as he was coming into the draft, as I recall.
Catching strays.
The only people left who don't believe in Euro players are dumb basketball fans like that.
Oh, God. He just put him down with Euro players, period. My God.
True.
I agree with you. I do think it's a little more cynicism now, though, because basketball is more 24/7 now than it was then. So getting Toni now means immediately he's got to go to Summer League. You know what I'm saying? And so the judgment would be upon him immediately when he walks in on that Summer League court. And I mean, the takes would be flying, not only from, writers, but especially from fans. Those takes would be flying from Toni. Oh, he can't play defense. That immediately, Matt. G League, put him down there, send him to the G League. He's got to go down there. And I think I thought that he came at just the right time and the right era, because now when you see Euro players come in, or just even international players in general, just come in now, you don't look at it kind of in that sense of, oh man, he can't play defense, so immediately he's trash. You know what I mean? You're like, well, Luka's not great. You know what I'm saying, at it? Well, Joker's not great at it. Let's see what he's got. Let's see his offensive game. Let's see how it can evolve and help our team now. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. If your game speaks for yourself at a certain point. And if you're that good, and people are going to like you. So obviously, there are going to be opposing teams that can't stand you because you beat them all the time. But, I mean, if you're that dude, you're that dude. You can't really argue.
You're that dude. You're that dude. Come on, Will.
And, Toni was that dude. I saw a lot of people on NBA Twitter when Toni was named a Hall of Fame member last year.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, come on, he doesn't deserve it. People
crazy.
forget all the time that the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame is not the National Basketball Association Hall of Fame. Look at his resume before he even put on a Bulls jersey, because he won all of the awards. How many of them? All of them. And you know what? You have to credit Jerry Krause. He was one of the first people who was like, I'm going to go scout in Europe. Yeah. And he found that dude. And he wasn't maybe as good as Jerry Krause thought. He thought he could build a championship team around Toni.
He did.
That was the plan, and that's what Jerry wanted, because it drove him crazy that for all the championship supporting rosters he built around MJ, he didn't pick MJ.
Right.
MJ was here right before Jerry arrived. So,
right.
All right. So before we move on and talk about Tari Eason, I know you guys are eager to get to that, as am I. Let's look real quickly at some of the other picks at 29 that the Bulls had throughout franchise history, because it's a pretty poopy list. So Larry Michaud, who, by the way, was a draft day trade, never played for the Bulls. Travis Knight in 96. That is a name that my brain had officially deleted.
Yes.
Trenton Hassel in 2001.
I will accept no Trenton Hassel slander, sir.
Why did I feel like you were going to have some kind of inexplicable love for Trenton Hassel?
No, I'll tell you why. Because this was Big Dave's pick for Random Bulls Generator a couple weeks ago. That's the only reason I know this guy.
That's not the only reason, but that's part of it.
That's the only reason I know him. That's the only reason I know him.
That's true. That's very true. But he was my pick from Random Bulls Generator. But I was a big Trenton Hassel fan when he was here. Because what I talked about on the show, he was a guy who was a defender. That's all he did. He played defense, and he never did anything wrong for me. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, he's just a solid basketball player. Ended up with a 15-year career. Played with that Minnesota team that went to the conference finals for the one and only time. He was a starting guard on that team. You know what I'm saying? I liked Trenton Hassel his whole career. I thought he had a very nice career, Will.
Yeah, you said it all on the show. I have nothing more to add on Trenton Hassel, but I will talk about Marcus Teague, aka could have been Draymond Green. That was always fun. That was fun. I got a lot of my anger out when we were talking about Chandler Hutchison earlier. I don't know if I have too much more to say.
Oh, there's plenty of anger that's always left on the table for Marquise Teague.
Well,
I think the thing
please.
that you can think about with Marcus Teague is who was taken after him. So I'm going to name a few guys. Pick 32, Tomas Satoransky, our boy. Obviously, not a star, but certainly better than Marcus Teague because he played in the league. Jay Crowder at 34. Draymond at 35. Chris Middleton at 39. Will Barton at 40. And let's see if there's anybody else down here. Not really. But those are some players. You had multiple other guys you could have taken. And they ended up with an unplayable guy. Now, we saw the value of hitting on a late draft pick in Jimmy Butler, who we talked about yesterday. That can totally change your franchise. And then you see the other side of it at 29 with Marquise Teague, and you just kind of lose a year.
And what's important about what you mentioned, Will, is you named some guys who are Defensive Player of the Years, All-Stars, and NBA champions. And I mean, not just being on the team.
At a high level in the playoffs this year.
This year, right. We saw a team didn't make it because they didn't have Middleton on their team. You know, we saw the Bucks not even go further because they didn't have that second-round pick there. So that's what makes it even sting a little bit more when you talk about it. Jam that knife in a little hard, a little extra on that one.
Teague spanning 2 seasons, well, 1.5 seasons before they traded his ass. 67 appearances, including 2 starts. Didn't even average 10 minutes a game.
Wow, I thought he was going to say points. He said
minutes, no, he averaged 2.1 points in his 67 games played for the Bulls.
There we go.
Hot garbage.
The hottest.
Speaking of hot garbage, Joey, let's quickly take a look at every player the Bulls selected with the 28th overall pick. Ooh. We are going to have to double up on some of these days because there are more number of picks than there are show days left between now and the draft. So name that probably sticks out on that whole long list is the most recent, that being Norris Cole, who was involved in a draft night trade.
Yes.
With apologies to Larry Krzyzkowiak, who did also get traded from the Bulls draft night and then found his way back to the Bulls later on, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Also, shout outs to Keith Booth and Corey Benjamin. I remember when I was a kid, obsessed with the Dynasty team, them being drafted and being like, I wonder if these young guys are going to be any good, get any minutes. And, of course, the answer is no.
Yeah, no, 0. And, I mean, Corey Benjamin.
And he stuck around for a little while, post-Dynasty. He was on some of those Tim Floyd teams.
But his claim to fame, Corey Benjamin's claim to fame is when he walked in that locker room talking crazy about Jeff, talking crazy about Mike. When Mike had retired, when took his locker, all that other stuff. Like, your name's Corey Benjamin, all right? And then Mike shows up at the gym like, what? Get your stuff. We about to play. After practice, Mike bust his ass after practice, and then his career was over. Like, Mike is soul crushing. All right, like you
broke his psyche,
broke that man's soul, dog. You took his soul and threw it into the trash. Michael Jordan is a psychopath, and I love him.
I don't want to forget about 2-time NBA champion Norris Cole, who actually sent me down the pathway of misery here about Chandler Hutchison, which I'll get to in a second. Traded on draft night from the Bulls in exchange for the rights to Niko Mirotic. Niko Mirotic obviously had his little stint with the Bulls after staying in Europe for a few years, but then was traded to the New Orleans Pelicans in exchange for the draft pick that became number 22, which became Chandler Hutchison. So that is the full circle of my rage at Chandler Hutchison today. And, we got to call out a 2-time champ, Norris Cole.
Yeah, shout out.
And I had forgotten also that, so it was like a 3-team trade essentially on that draft night, with Minnesota and then Miami being the team that eventually got Norris Cole. Minnesota traded Cole to Miami for the rights to Bojan Bogdanovic and a second-round pick. I forgot that Bogdanovic was involved in that trade too.
He's been around that long.
I was like, wait, Bogdanovic was around in 2011?
Wow, I didn't even put that
crazy. And then you see Bogdanovic running around an NBA court, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's 45.
Another weird connection there is that the Jazz, when they signed Bogdanovic, I think it must have been 2018, they had tried to get Nico and used that money instead on Bogdanovic when Nico decided to go back to Europe to play. So another weird connection there.
Yeah, and of course, since there were some names on there that I didn't know, and players from back in the day.
Like Paul Ruffner.
Ricky Winslow. Come on now. Immediately, I go to my oldest brother and I speak to him. I gotta find a name for this segment. But I go to my oldest brother and, I ask him if he knew some of these players. He knew 2. Larry Michaud was one that he knew. He said his nickname was Mr. Mean. He said he was a card-carrying member of Phi Slamma Jamma. He was on that
OG
team.
Houston team?
The OG Houston
kidding.
team. He was on that squad, man. He said nobody messed with him. He said I was a tough dude. He didn't talk a lot, but nobody really messed with him. And you just mentioned, you said Ricky Winslow also went to Houston. He went there as a freshman, but, they got beat up by Georgetown. He said he would duck everything. He said he would dunk on you something ugly and just real nasty, but that was pretty much his skill set.
Dude, we got to just bring your brother on for one of these segments.
He'll come.
When we talk about players the Bulls selected 26th in 1984.
Dude, he will talk for hours on this stuff, man. Yes, I'm going to try to get him here. He is a professional person with a 9-to-5 job, but he'll take it off, hopefully, for me. But we'll see, man. But, yeah, I told him this. I said, man, I got to find a name for this because I know he's going to know all this. Dude is a sports fanatic. It's where I get it from, so. Yeah, shout out to my brother Jay John Jr., man, my guy.
I did want to. I said this to you guys sometime last evening while I was going through all of these draft picks in our thread together. Keith Booth, a name that I had forgotten.
Yes,
drafted by the Bulls with the 28th in '97. This man is an NBA champion. Cannot ever take that away from Keith Booth.
Who's got a ring?
NBA champion. Made 6 appearances in the Last Dance season of 97-98, averaging 2.8 minutes per appearance.
Come on, Keith.
That man was a mop-up duty roster spot and nothing else. Playoff appearance? Not a single second. Not even playoff blowout victories. The man never saw the floor in the playoffs.
That is impressive.
He has a ring.
Shout out to
Assuming
Keith
he hasn't,
Booth.
Sold it at this point.
Fair point. I'd like to know what Keith Booth is doing now, man. Shout out to Keith Booth. And again, those are these picks that Will was talking about. Like, didn't the Bulls, why weren't they drafting last all this time?
There you go.
We're going to get into that. Yeah, then you get into these names like this, Will. Then you get into Keith Booth.
Him and then Corey Benjamin the next year.
This is why people tune in.
Right, to hear our analysis on Keith Booth and Corey Benjamin.
Obviously.
Yes. Oh, man.
They probably also tune in to hear us talk about the 2022 NBA draft class. So we'll do that coming up next in just a minute.
Yes.
But first, Big Dave.
Yeah.
You want to tell the people?
I do want to tell the people the best way to support what we do here is CHGO. Is to download that PointsBet app and use that code CHGO when you sign up. Because if you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you will receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of that awesome web content, and you'll even get a free T-shirt of your choice from that CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, a free T-shirt when you sign up from that CHGO locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. And introducing y'all, you know what it is. It's that live NBA same game parlay. For that first time ever, you can build that perfect live NBA same game parlay. You can do that only with PointsBet. You can combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. And if you want more,
and we know you do Chicago.
Ooh, you can also boost your live NBA same game parlays, y'all. You can watch live, parlay live, boost live, and partay live with PointsBet. And everybody here in this beautiful state of Illinois, in this wonderful city of Chicago, where the weather is friendly to a fat man outside as far as what it says, but not how it feels, because the humidity is like 88%. Oh. So it's like 60 degrees out there, but it feels like 82, and that's not fun.
It's like a dishwasher out there.
Oh, come on, man. But you can stay inside and avoid all of that, y'all, and you can download that PointsBet app right now, register your account from start to finish, and do it all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Because once that game starts, no, you don't just bet. Will the thrill in Brazil, tell them what you do.
You live your bet life.
Come on, Joey.
Money.
Money. I love it when it's timed brilliantly.
So excited to spend some time on my favorite PointsBet app for these NBA Finals.
I know you are.
Tomorrow.
Your thing.
Game 1.
Spending money.
I'm on PointsBet. Today's episode also brought to y'all by Strava Craft Coffee, which is a game changer and has helped thousands of people improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh roasted specialty coffee infused with organic broad-spectrum CBD. CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer real benefits that can help you feel alert and focused without those coffee jitters, live your day more balanced with less anxiety, fewer aches and pains. Plus, including CBD in your daily routine can even help you enjoy more restful sleep so you wake up feeling your best. And the best part is that Strava is all about quality, everything small batch, fresh, and shipped straight to your door. Right to your door, Dave.
Right there.
It was funny. I was actually talking to some friends about Strava over the weekend.
Do tell.
I was at my buddy Trent's house. Shout out, Trent. We were all hanging out on his rooftop watching Game 7.
Great softball player.
Nets.
Great softball player, Trent.
And we were talking.
Softball king? Is that what you?
Good
It's
player.
true.
He's a good player.
He's one of our CHGO softball ringers.
I mean, if
He's a
Joe's
good
saying
dude.
it, he must be the man.
And somebody was asking me about like our sponsors at CHGO, and I was run down the list, and I was like, well, I have Big Dave do this read because it's something about like living healthy, and then I have Big Dave do this other thing that's about living healthy. But I do the Strava one because I actually started drinking the CBD coffee and I love it and I feel better. So I was actually doing just a completely natural environment, off the cuff Strava promo.
Proud of you.
And everybody around me was like, I got to try some of that stuff.
Yeah, because they know you. And they know if it's working for you, man.
It's true.
It's
And
a
it
thing.
is. I feel better drinking it. I've just sort of slowly replaced my old coffee with this Strava CBD coffee. I feel better. I'm alert. I'm focused. And I sleep better at night. So what are you waiting for? Because you can also get 25% off right now off that order at StravaCraftCoffee.com using promo code CHGO25. That's CHGO25 promo code at checkout for 25% off your order at StravaCraftCoffee.com. Try it.
Do it. Get you some of that.
You guys ready to talk about
every time you say what are you waiting for, I almost just have to say live your best life.
He has been trained.
It almost just comes out.
I mean, you are allowed to simultaneously drink Strava coffee while living your bet life, making bets on PointsBet.
This is true.
Nobody said that those two things have to be mutually exclusive.
He is right.
If you're a multitasking kind of person, do both.
I can guarantee you he's doing
I guarantee you at least one time over the last 2 months, I've been sipping Strava coffee while having the PointsBet app open on my phone. Like there is a 0% chance that hasn't happened at some point yet.
I'm saying by one, he means a million.
All right, who wants to talk about Tari Eason? I know Will does, Joey does, Dave does, I do too. Will, you said that you are a Tari kind of guy yesterday. Let's let you start, man. We've got plenty to break down here of this LSU product, but what is it that has you most excited about this guy? Shout out to our guy Eric over at DNVR for coming up with some cool ass graphics for these draft profiles. But Will, take it away. Tari Eason, tell Bulls Nation why they should love him.
All right, so let me just start with some of his profile here. So for one, he's definitely in the range of the Bulls, which is always like, you don't want to be talking about a top 10 guy when the Bulls are never going to get him. I think 18 would be sort of like the lowest he might go, but it seems like he's being mocked in that area. So ESPN, The Athletic, and then Rafael Barlow of NBA Big Board. Those are awesome graphics, by the way. They've all mocked Tari to the Bulls. So that's great to see. Basically, this dude is just a monster athlete. He's 6'8" with a 7'2" wingspan. He had like one of the most, famous combine measurements, which was having 11-inch hands, which basically is just like Kawhi Leonard sized hands. And yeah, just a tremendous athlete. I mean, if you just watch some of his highlights, it's kind of like Mark Williams we were talking about yesterday, where he's literally dunking everything, but he's got a little bit more of a face-up game. Definitely more perimeter oriented, and has just been a super efficient scorer in his first couple of years. So we can get into like some strengths and defense and weaknesses and sort of fit on both sides of the ball. But just curious for you guys, what was your first impression looking at him and looking at some tape ahead of our show today?
Well, to be real, it was okay.
Really?
I wasn't.
I
really,
like it.
Not super impressed?
I wasn't really over the moon. I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie to you about it. I wasn't really over the moon. But let me start with the strengths, because I think Will did a great job touching on those. Immediately, what jumps out at you is the athleticism. The fact he, like Will said, dunks every single thing. The steals this man was making let me talk about just the meathead steals, as I call them, where people are trying to drive to the cup and he is just putting his hand on the ball and stopping you immediately. You can't go anywhere. That's meathead stuff to me. That's like Paul Bunyan stuff. You know, like, yeah, he's so strong. He can stop you from moving with one hand. You know what I mean? That's like tall tale kind of thing that he was doing. And he did that often because his hands are huge and he is so physically strong. But as far as the basketball side of it is in his steals, the way he would jump those passing lanes is super impressive. I love the way he would guard the ball handler outside the three-point line, and he makes you try to dribble the ball, but his length won't allow it. And so when you try to do that, he's taking it from you immediately. Like, and then when he takes it from you, he's gone. You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting that. You know what I mean? He's gone, and he's going to finish it correctly and make the right move, which is usually him jumping from the three-point line and dunking the basketball, because he is incredibly gifted at that. I love the fact that he can draw fouls, too. He can get to the lane and get to the free throw line.
Pretty good at committing fouls, too.
Yeah, very good at making them, too. I mean, most guys who play that defense like that, you know, I like that. They can do that. But he draws those fouls, and the Bulls don't really have that. We talked about how impressed I was with Zach doing it during the season. It's because they only had two guys. It was Zach and it was DeMar. They don't really have another guy who can get his own, you know, shot at the free throw line, and he can definitely do that. And I thought that was impressive also. But I was more impressed by his defense more than anything when I would watch him play. Just how physical it was, how intelligent it was, and how he was just an irritant and athletic irritant, which is just really scary because you couldn't do anything as far as guys trying to run their play. If you're trying to start something from outside the three-point line and he's the one guarding you, oh boy, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Because that length and that athleticism is going to bother you, man. And I really like that about him. Now, the other thing I like, Will, that he does, his footwork for me isn't the greatest, but his recovery is spectacular. And that's what I liked about him so much is like, boom, like he would get beat on a move, Matt. He would get beat on it, but you weren't going to score because he knows how to use his length, man. And those shot blocks using that wingspan that he had and those huge hands are definitely going to come into play. So his defense is what's going to get him on the floor and have him play. And I think he could definitely impact the team that way. So for me, those were his biggest strengths.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is definitely going to be his calling card, especially early on in his career. And you said, I mean, like the awareness and anticipation on some of these where he's like jumping passing lanes and getting out in transition. I mean, you can just imagine like him on the Bulls where they really were amazing at that in the first half of the year. And then their offense fell off a cliff when that stopped happening. So I think it'd be a great fit in that regard. But I think what impressed me the most about him defensively and what I think separates him from Mark Williams for me is that he can move his feet. Now, the footwork, I agree with you, is not great at this point, but like I have no issues with him guarding point guards on switches. Like he's going to be able to guard 1 through 5. And I could see him playing some small ball center next to Patrick Williams. And just, I mean, like, think about the versatility, the athleticism, the switchability. Like, I mean, I just see him being a really, really incredible defender and one who's versatile enough to play multiple different styles. And I think that's really just something that, like, basically you need to have in today's NBA, but also something that the Bulls have not had yet. So I think there's like some crossover with Patrick Williams, which I think has some pros and cons, but I also can see them totally playing together, which I think would be just a really fast-paced, versatile, switchy defense and something that like the Bulls could really use, not just like this next year, but like as Vooch and DeMar sort of go on the decline or maybe leave the team. That's like a front court that I would be super excited about for the next 10 years.
Now it makes sense now. Now I know why Will loves him, because now it's the small ball factor that's coming into play. Okay, I get it. I get it, Will. I get you now, bro. I got you.
But again, like it doesn't have to be small ball. That's one of a lot of different options as far as how you could make Tari useful on the defensive end. I agree with you guys in that I think he can guard 1 through 5 in the NBA because of the ridiculous length. 6'8" guy who has a 7'2.5" wingspan. Sure. Plus, as Will mentioned, the hands with, you know, like bigger hands than
it's
the
like
paw, bigger hands than the claw. They're huge. Because you guys talked well and thoroughly about what we know he can do on defense, I will shift to say the thing that jumps out to me when I took a closer look at Tari is how much his numbers jumped offensively when he went through that transfer portal after his freshman year at Cincy and then played his sophomore season at LSU. And that is something you can be excited about and then also skeptical about.
Joey,
so
can I see those stats, please? Again?
He went from playing 20 minutes a game with Cincy as a freshman to 24 and a half as a sophomore with LSU, and went from scoring 7.3 points per game to 16.9. So basically a 10 points per game jump from year one to year two. And then it's also the shooting splits that jump out at you. Increases overall field goal percentage from 46 to 52. 3-point percentage on 1.3 attempts per game as a freshman. He shot 24% behind the arc. On 2.4 attempts per game sophomore year at LSU, he managed to get that up all the way to nearly 36%. And then a little bit of a closer look, you discovered that he made a significant change in his shooting motion between his freshman and sophomore years. He put his supporting hand, his non-shooting hand, back on the ball for a longer part of his release while also cleaning up his release. But now his release is basically all the way shifted over to holding it where his right shoulder is. It's a right-handed shooter who's shooting over his right shoulder. So if you look at his splits on the floor, he's shooting like mid to high 40% from the right corner and the right elbow. Left side and center, because he's shooting from the right side of his body, his alignment is all messed up. And in those spots of the floor, he's shooting in like the 20s.
Wow.
So impressive what you saw him do, making a jump offensively from year one to year two in college, but I have serious questions about his shooting form and whether or not it can become something that he's reliable and a threat to knock down and space the floor from all over the floor.
That's where I'm at. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair concern. The way I look at it, though, is to your point, Matt, like he changed some things and the numbers went up. And so I think you could like reasonably expect him to continue working on a shot. Right now, it is very much like on the right side of his head, which is weird and not how you would like traditionally teach a dude to shoot. And it's very like far away from his face and kind of catapulty. He's definitely going to have some work to do. And I think that is like, there's a concern there for me. That's like, is he another one of those, like, if only he could shoot guys, you know, because the Bulls have plenty of those. They've got some defenders who like, oh, if only they could shoot. Javonte Green, Derek Jones, like we don't really need any more of those guys. But I do think the fact that he did improve is actually, you know, some people will say like, oh, he's a little bit older and he just kind of like physically overwhelmed guys. One, I think that's true. He is a little bit older and he physically overwhelmed guys, but he's so physically overwhelming that he'll, I think, continue to be able to do that at the NBA level. And given the track record of improvement, definitely on the volume and the free throw line, I mean, going from 57% up to 80 on 5.7 attempts per game is really, really impressive. So I don't think he's going to be an offensive creator early on in his career. Like his handle is not great. He hasn't really shown much in the way of like passing vision or playmaking. But
ball handling in transition is an absolute tire fire from what I've watched.
It's erratic. But I think that like early on in his career, he fills a role where he can either like stand in the corner and like catch and shoot threes, which he's capable of doing from the right side of the court. And then I think he could also be sort of that rim roller, just like catch lob guys, which I think has been really enticing for a lot of Bulls fans, with Mark Williams, for example. And then I think later on in his career, like if he tightens up his footwork and his shot release, like he could be a pick and pop option. I think he's going to be able to hopefully learn how to play make in the short roll and just like make that connecting pass. And if he does those two things, and those are big ifs, like those are hard things to learn, but they are teachable. He could be like a very, very good player. But I think right now in the immediate future, you're getting an impact skill, which is defending at a high level and having multiple different forms of being able to defend. And then he can also just spot up and shoot. And if he can do just that at age 21, age 22, as DeMar, again, is like reaching the peak of his powers with the Bulls, and then start to develop some of that other stuff when he sort of gets a little bit older on that same timeline as Patrick and Ayo and even Lonzo and Kobe, if they stick around. I think he just kind of like, I've said it before, like he kind of threads the needle of being good now and also being able to develop with the rest of that younger core down the road and become like a very really solid and versatile player, which I think the Bulls just need a lot more of. Like, you're looking at the Celtics, the Heat, all these teams have these big 6'8", 6'9" wings, and the Bulls have a bunch of 6'4", 6'5" guys, which is great. They're very versatile, but they need some more length, and I think he really fits the bill.
You're right on that, and I'm glad you touched on that, because those were kind of things where I was on when I would watch him offensively. Will, you mentioned his 3-point shooting. Yeah, I thought he could be a good catch and shoot guy, but he's got to be open for that. You know what I mean? Because it takes him so long to get that ball off. It reminded me of Patrick Williams a little bit in that sense. Whew. But
I wrote this down.
Write a chapter of a novel while he's getting that shot off.
Yeah. Go ahead, Will.
He reminds me a lot of like a kind of like a hybrid of like Tyrese Thomas and Patrick Williams, where he's just like freak athlete, runs around like a madman. And that's like my kind of player. I love that.
Actually, yeah.
If you can
taking the best of both, okay. But it's the fact you said Tyrese Thomas that kind of just threw everything. Yeah.
When you say that name.
Yeah, it kind of hurt a little bit. It felt like a punch for some reason. Yeah.
I'm a Tyrese guy, all right? Sue me.
How is anyone a Tyrese guy?
A Tyrese guy.
Unacceptable.
It's more about the idea of Tyrese than actually how good he was.
Well,
obviously
and that's why you gave up LaMarcus Aldridge for the idea of Tyrese Thomas. That's why
if you get LaMarcus, then you don't get Derrick Rose. So
see, but why you do this to me, Will? Don't bring me here. Don't bring me here. Wait a minute.
I'm still stuck on Chandler Hutchison. All right, like I'm just trying to drag you down with me.
Misery loves company. I feel you. You're right. But the difference with me with Patrick was, one, Patrick hit his, and two, Patrick Williams could put the ball on the floor and get to the bucket. You also mentioned his ball handling. Oh my goodness, it's not good at all. He can't dribble the ball, and he doesn't have a left hand at all.
Oh no,
he's got a right hand. And he's going right. Period.
Refuses to finish with his left.
Dude, it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? He just does not have one. I don't like that he lacks confidence in his shot. And I talked about this with Mark Williams. And I said it there. I know Mark Williams didn't have a shot, but he wasn't hesitant and he had a confidence in it, which is why I thought he could be a spot-up shooter maybe down the line. He doesn't have that same confidence to me when he's taking that shot. I think he's more confident when it's wild because he's more confident putting the ball on the floor when he's getting to the bucket on transition than he is putting the ball on the floor trying to create something on the perimeter for himself. You know what I mean? Like when it's like he's laser focused when he gets that steal or something in that transition. I know what I got to do. You know what I mean? I'm getting to the bucket because it's right hand dominant. You know what I mean? You don't have to switch across nobody over or think about it. You like, boom, to the bucket. I'm out there. I'm going. But I want him to have more confidence in when he shoots the basketball. I don't care. Again, I don't care. Like I said, I don't care if they throw it in the ocean. I just want you to have the confidence to shoot it. And he doesn't have that confidence right now to shoot that basketball. But one thing I forgot to mention about him that I do love too is when he's running that lane, man. It reminded me of Karl Malone so much because Karl Malone was the best I had ever seen a big man running the lane. He filled those lanes perfectly. And it reminded me of that when I would see him fill those lanes and running those in college without the ball or even with the ball. He knew exactly where to be and when to make that cut and when to make that drive and on that angle. And that's stuff that certain players have to be taught when they come to the NBA. And he already has that down. But
I do think he's more lethal in transition as a guy running in a lane without the ball.
Correct. That's why I said Karl Malone. He's not a dribbler. You know what I'm saying at all. But it's the fact that he's 6'8", and some of those things I think he's going to have to dribble. You know what I mean? He's going to have to do that. He's going to have to shoot a three.
He will need to improve his handles.
Yes, right. He's going to have to. If he was Mark Williams, I wouldn't care. You know what I mean? But he's going to have those things.
I think that's true for Mark Williams too. Like, you can't hide anymore. You have to be able to do stuff. And I think if you just look at what he can do right now, like the numbers say, and it's definitely not perfect. Like, he's going to need work on it. He's going to need some mechanical changes. And that's gonna like lead to more confidence once he gets there. Like, he can shoot the ball. Like, he's got shooting percentage to back that up. And as opposed to a Mark Williams who like only can dunk the ball. And for me, give me the more versatile defender who can do basically everything on that end, whether it's protect the rim or get out on the perimeter, who has also shown a capability of being able to perform another skill at a high level on offense.
Hold on. I see somebody besmirching the name of the legend in the comments. Who is this Barton Shaw?
Well, so
talking crazy about the legend.
When you were getting upset about the mention of Tyrese Thomas.
He's what? The naming of?
Besmirching.
Yeah.
He's besmirch. You ever heard that?
You don't know the word besmirch? Go back to college, Joey.
No, I don't.
Take some English classes.
2 degrees, Joey. 2 of them, bro.
Bart Johnson says the Matt Thomas. There's a difference. Tyrus Thomas was heralded as a guy who was going to make the Bulls really good because he was going to be really good.
Yes.
Manny Legend is a joke.
Yes.
That's not, you're comparing apples and oranges.
I don't like how strong you said that right there. Manny Legend is a legend, all right? And we are lucky that we got to see him play.
A legendary punchline.
Will has even mentioned that he is lucky he got to watch him play in practice.
Meanwhile, peek behind the scenes, Joey is Googling the word besmirch right now.
Damage the reputation of someone or something in the opinion of others.
Is there a question of vocabulary?
I've never heard the word besmirch before.
There's no way I was the only person wondering what that meant.
No,
so,
that just makes you feel better saying that, sir. You might have been the only one.
No, you know what? Chime in the comments if you were curious about the definition of besmirch.
I'm going to have more words for you, too.
Please. Listen, I'm not opposed to learning new things. I love
That's
it.
why I like Joey
Pax
so
a
much.
Shakespeare
Yeah.
head, you know? He
That's
likes
why I
it.
love him.
Old English.
But
That
if
man
you
wants to
don't
learn.
know a word that you absolutely should know as a functioning adult, then we're going to make fun of you a little bit.
That's okay. I'm open to it.
Growth. Keep growing, Joey.
Maybe skipped a couple grades. I don't know.
Hey. Joey's an intelligent human being, sir.
I know that. That's why I'm so surprised you didn't know the word.
Barton says, I am fully besmirched.
Like, it's his fault if he doesn't know, like, a reference we make to a 90s TV show that is
it's not his fault.
long off the air.
Yeah, or an art or music artist or
Right,
something
yeah.
like that. Not his fault.
We don't fault him for his youth.
No.
It's a fun game to play.
It's fun to make fun.
But
yeah.
All right, back to Tari Eason. I could see Goatlieb's getting pissed. He's like, we've only got an hour to talk about it.
Sorry, go ahead, go. I'm saying.
I just want to clarify what I meant about Tyrus Thomas. I just meant like very athletic guy who's like running all over the place and kind of have similar body types. I think there's also a big difference between what you said of like, this is was the second overall pick and like, he's going to be a franchise changing player versus like sort of first of all, I think that kind of player would work better in today's NBA if he could shoot. But secondly, like he's going to be maybe the 18th pick. Like this is not a franchise changing player. The Tyrus experience was wild, and I do like that kind of player in general. But I think it was more sort of a,
One day
in theory.
I'm gonna ask Will to give me like his for real all-time Bulls starting lineup. Like forget greats and names.
5 Tyrus Thomases out there.
You know what
is that better or worse than 5 Javantes? Give me 5 Javantes. All right, before we offer y'all our final thoughts on Tari Eason, Big Dave.
Yes, sir.
Give a shout out to our newest and bestest friends.
Young Owen.
Over there at Owen.
Owen. Because a win's a win.
Oh, I like that.
Oh,
I like
boy,
that.
I got a million of these things, baby. I got a million of them, y'all. But it is a wonderful, beautiful, delicious, wonderful product, y'all, called Owen that you all need to know more about. 100% plant-based protein shake that gives you nutrition that works as hard as you do in all those products. Free of artificial ingredients, allergen-friendly, no gluten or dairy, and it's easily and wonderfully digestible. And you know who else reps this hard? Know who else reps this harder than this wonderful young man that you're seeing on your screen right now? And I ain't talking about Will the Goat Gottlieb. Talking about this guy right here, even though he is wonderfully intelligent. Put Will back. Don't take the thrill away. Give me the thrill, man. You know who reps this harder? That man, Justin Fields.
QB1?
QB1, sir. If you want to be QB1 and be down with that, then you got to be down with Owen, y'all. And to be down with it, we're going to make it even easier for you here at CHGO. You can get 20% off your first purchase at liveowen.com, y'all. And use this code right here, CHGO20. One more time, that's CHGO20 at liveowen.com. So hang out with me, hang out with Justin Fields, and enjoying how this wonderful product tastes. Owen! A win's a win. Oh!
Going back to things that you do believe that Tari can improve upon at the NBA level, Will, things that maybe aren't as big of a concern to you. Is the foul trouble that he showed in college a concern, or is it something you think he can clean up? Because, I mentioned it when we were first talking about his defense, that he did definitely have a knack for getting in foul trouble at Cincy, as well as LSU. It wasn't quite as striking, but I think I recall going back and seeing that one of his games his freshman year at Cincy, he fouled out in like 6 minutes.
What?
Yeah, and again, that's just like playing really aggressive defense, but finding out how to do that without getting yourself in foul trouble.
True.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge for a lot of young guys, especially bigs. And when you're kind of like in between and you're able to play a little backup five and also guard guys on the perimeter, like you're gonna be a very aggressive, foul-y defender. Like Mark Williams definitely has a problem with that. Jalen Duren, very big problem with that. Like you kind of learn where to be and how to position yourself. So I think that's one thing that I'm not super worried about, although it's definitely, a thing that exists. But yeah, I think for me, because there's like a basis for him that has shown that he can do certain things, whether it's make jumpers or, face up and get to the basket, whether it's transition or in half court. Like I would rather see things, even if he's not good at them. And because if I see them, that I believe that he'll get better at them, as opposed to a guy who can't or hasn't showed something for whatever reason, whether it's like just filling a specific role or hasn't been allowed to do it or can't do it, because there's just no basis to believe that he will. So between shooting a lot more and shooting a lot better, getting the free throw percentage up and change his mechanics, I really do think he can develop his jumper. Maybe it is the same situation as Pat, where Pat is like a high percentage shooter, but like very unwilling to a certain extent, where he's just like kind of afraid. And like I said, the Bulls don't need any more of those guys. So it's not like a clear home run, but I just love that kind of player, that kind of versatile defender who can really spark your transition offense and, won't kill you as a spot up guy.
Yeah, what I like here, and because Will kind of talked me into something here that I wasn't looking at, is him playing, in that small ball role. Because I wasn't even thinking of him in that kind of role. Like when I'm looking at his game, I'm like the 3 or the 4. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to put the ball, you're gonna have to score. But if he does, he can get away with playing the 5 with the way he plays defense, with his length and his athleticism. And we saw Derrick Jones Jr. do it already, and this is a bigger version, younger, more athletic guy than that. So I think he can get away with that. And also because that second unit is going to need more of that defense. You know what I'm saying? They're definitely going to need that. And that could be a problem, because one thing the Bulls showed is what they're great at was being in transition. You know what I'm saying? That was what their bread and butter was, getting out and getting in transition. So if you got Caruso, Ayo, let's say Pat, and this young man here out there on the floor right now, you're getting some steals and you're running. You know what I mean? Like that's what's going to happen. So yeah, I can see him fitting on this team, you know what I'm saying, in that sense, coming off the bench and giving them those minutes there.
It's easy that you mention second units, and Eco being in the comments, bringing it up as well. LSU starting out 11-0 with Eason coming off the bench and leading the team in scoring, steals, and rebounds. That's something that is also impressive when you think about who this young man is. He made the All-SEC first team as a guy coming off the bench.
It's impressive.
Like he won SEC Sixth Man of the Year and was named to the All-SEC first team. How do you do both of those things in the same season? That's impressive.
Rare. Yeah, that seems rare. Yeah, that's I ain't got nothing for that. That's damn impressive right there, man, for real.
I think just one last point I want to hammer home is just the importance of having these kind of guys in today's NBA. Like he may not be like the most skilled player that's available at 18, obviously, because there are other guys who like have more craft or are better shooters or whatever. But I think just being talented and athletically gifted is a skill when you're that size. And the Celtics, the Bucks, the Nets, the Heat, the 76ers, like they all have a bunch of big wings that you need to be able to defend somehow. You look at the Raptors, like they're only building with guys like that, like OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. Like you need to have those guys in today's NBA. And it's definitely a risk when you're talking about a guy who like is a little shaky with the dribble or doesn't have good footwork and doesn't really like have a super reliable jumper. There are flaws there for sure. But I think you kind of have to make a bet that you can clean some of that stuff up, that you can shave down the edges a little bit and turn him into a skilled player when you have so much to work with from like a physical tool standpoint.
Will, real quick before we get off, can you see him becoming like a Grant Williams type of player? That's kind of where my head goes a little bit, just in terms of the switchability, and then if he can make an open shot, it's even better. But big, can switch, athletic, yeah.
Yeah, I think he has similar skills, like certain similar skills. The switchability, I don't think he's going to be like Grant Williams is so strong that like he can basically stop Giannis from posting up. Like that was incredible, and probably not something that Tari will be able to do certainly right away. But I think he probably is able to switch and guard the perimeter a little bit better than Grant Williams. Grant Williams is an incredible shooter at this point in his career. He's like over 40%. Eason's probably not getting there, but I do think he adds a little bit more versatility, a little bit more athleticism, better transition player. So definitely some similarities there. But I think in a certain way, like Eason has a little bit more untapped offensive upside, where you're kind of only getting that spot up shooting from Grant Williams.
All right, y'all. That is it. We are sadly out of time, but fear not. We will be right back here for our final in-studio show of the week. Same time, same place, 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Let's do it again.
We're continuing on with our draft profiles. You know who's on deck tomorrow?
Who's that be?
Santa Clara's Jalen Williams.
Oh, shout out John Sabine.
Looking forward to that one. And we will roll on with our Bulls draft history countdown. You know who's on deck tomorrow?
Please tell me.
Let's just say y'all better bring your hard hats and lunch pails.
Oh, that's called a tease, ladies and gentlemen. Tease pack.
And we'll give y'all a little preview of the NBA Finals, which start tomorrow night.
Yes.
Like 27 hours from now.
A little bit.
Finally.
A little bit.
And I'll let you guys make new picks because I already made mine about a month and a half ago.
Yeah. Oh, look at this guy.
You are relentless.
He is. He likes being right. You know what I mean? He likes enjoying being right. He enjoys winning.
Duh.
Just like I do when I won the What If draft right here, ladies and gentlemen. This guy. Thank you very much, Joey. Thank you very much, very kindly. Thank you, y'all. Thank you. And thank you.
I'm clapping. I was clapping.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Thanks and shout out to our pal Joey. Follow Big Dave on Twitter at BowBNWS Sports. Will, the GOAT Gottlieb, is at Won't Gottlieb on Twitter. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Keep following us. Tell your fellow Bulls fans to follow us. We're close to that 4,000 yet. We've still got like 700 and some to go, or 600 and some to go.
Some healthy food. You already voted on it. You want to see it.
You know how to get there.
You know how to get it.
Give us a follow.
Give us a follow.
We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yeah.
3 o'clock Chicago time. A full show on deck. It'll be a lot of fun. Until then, Will, be safe down there in Brazil. Have fun. And Bulls Nation, appreciate you for tuning in. Keep it here, CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Plenty more content for you with the baseball folks coming up later today. See you, Red. Be good.